All right, everybody, just thanks for joining us. We're just going to give it a few minutes for all the notifications and everything to go out, and I apologize for us being 8 minutes late. That is my fault. If I was ever continuously on time, I think the world would freeze over and go into a pit of chaos even more than it has right now. That's probably why we're going through chaos, because I was on time at some point. So if you give me just a few minutes here, we can just give everybody a moment with the notifications. And yep, the notifications are coming through on my end. All right, are you able to see the comments, Sarah?
I can look at the comments, yeah. Okay, I can see the comments, but there aren't any yet.
Okay, so if you keep an eye on the comments, I just need to get my phone up on the mount, and and then that just gives everybody enough time to come on and everything. So if you want to greet, and you're able to see the counter, right, of people watching?
No, I can't see the counter. Only you can.
You can't see the counter. Okay, so that's me. Okay, so all right, so just a few minutes. Just pretend that there's elevator music playing right now and your favorite song, and so just a few minutes, and just like I said, give everybody a few minutes just to get notifications out, because I know for me it likes to it sometimes lags. Like there's been times where I've actually been live for like 5 minutes and then the notifications like on Facebook go out and I'm just like, really? So, and there was a Nat. I knew Nat would be the first. I knew. Nat never disappoints. So that's awesome like that. So
let's talk about some energy here today, hopefully.
All right, so if you give me a moment, I'm gonna go to my desk here and just giving everybody enough time to get on. Annette, if you would please, would you share out a link to a couple places for me? I'd appreciate that. And see, I can hear all the little notification things are going off, like in this little sounds still going off. So, all right, so just a moment, and
yeah, I can see them all on my laptop going off.
Okay, they're going off on yours too. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, just a moment. Elevator music, guys. Maybe some like Steven Tyler. There you go. That's the elevator music right now for just a moment.
I can turn on my Alexa. You want me to?
Well, I didn't know Alexa sang.
Alexa plays music.
Really? I don't know what my speaker guy, what his name is, but he's we don't get along too well. One day I asked him why he was so stupid. He's like, because I'm still learning, and I felt so bad.
Yeah, mine says stuff like that too. But yeah, they play music. Like if you tell them, if you say, well, if you say like, hey Alexa, play elevator music, it'll play elevator music.
Oh, well, let me see. Hey Google, can we play some elevator music? Oh God, they go to Spotify. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Spotify.
Oh, here, I'll do it. Hey Echo, play elevator music.
Which yours play from? Hello, P2 and Baby Wearing. I don't know. I guess I didn't name my speaker guy. It's a little pink brown speaker thing. I got it for like business gifts from Google. But yeah, we've been fighting for the last couple of years.
Hi, kids. My kids are watching. So we're definitely family friendly. Hey, Liana. Well, we're just giving people a minute to get here.
Hi, Liana. Sarah's you're family friendly. Me, I'm adult rated, so children should not be around.
Echo, stop music.
All right, so you can get started here in about. No, I forgot that there's a timer on here. I just now remember that. But yeah, if you give me just a moment here, and we're gonna get started. I just was trying to give everybody enough time to get the notifications and for me to get to my desk. I was smart this time. I brought a pitcher of water next to my desk, so I don't have to worry about not having anything for my thirst. And then
yeah, I always have a drink right by my desk.
All right. so I don't know why my comments didn't scroll.
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
All right. Hello, everybody. I didn't. Oh, got this fan right in my face. Gonna make my eyes watery. So, all right. A little bit of a hot mess today because I waited till this morning to go to bed. All right. So, thank you everybody for joining. And yeah, this feels like my eyes watery. Or my mascara too. So, I have a special guest with me here, Sara, Lynn, and this is a part 2 to understanding energy. We're going to get to some more specific topics when it comes to talking about energy and just kind of touching base on some things. Is that my is that my I don't shouldn't be. My stomach's fine. I mean, I woke up starving and I had to I ate, but no, my stomach's fine.
I think it's whatever you're moving, like your cord or whatever.
Well, because Leanna asked me, is that my stomach?
Yeah, because we can hear the noise of you like moving your cord or your phone or whatever's moving.
Hey Google, pause please. Okay. Oh yeah. So you can hear what I like. Yeah, because it's like right behind the mount. All right. So I have part 2 and understanding energy, and I have Sara Lynn with me, and she is energy expert trainer, and and I wanted to just kind of share some of her credentials so everybody can have a better understanding and get to know Sara just a little bit more. I've been working with Sara for about 2 years, and Sara, if you want to give a little background. Yeah, my eyes are all watering.
I've been working with energy since I was a small child. I learned it as a child from other family members, and I had a lot of friends that also were into stuff like that. A lot of friends that were older, friends with my aunt. For actual background, I have a master's degree in clinical psychology and industrial psychology. I also have a degree in early childhood education, and I also have a degree as a master herbalist.
Okay, and now when it comes to working with energy, about how long have you said that you've been working about hands-on with energy? Like
hands-on with energy from probably about the time that I was very, very young. Like my first memories, my aunt and my grandmother taught me how to feel the energy that was in everything around us. So pretty much my entire life.
Okay. And okay, so
thanks, Annette.
All right. Now with your psychological background now, with what you do now, what you do in the metaphysical realm, what would you consider yourself, like if you were to give yourself a title for the that you do?
I'm really anti titles, but I use energy to help heal people. I also use my psychology knowledge to help heal people on like an energy level, on like a subconscious level. A lot of people, they go to mental health professionals and they get prescriptions and everything like that, but they still suffer from problems. I personally believe that's because we're not treating the spirit, we're treating the actual problem. We're not treating the spirit behind the person. So when we take their spiritual path into account, we're able to treat them from that spiritual aspect, as well as whatever prescriptions they may have. So I always tell like my clients, don't stop taking any medication. Continue seeing your normal healthcare practitioners, whichever they are. And if you ever take like any herbs or whatever, it's very important to know what other medications you're on, because a lot of herbs have contradictions with modern day medicine.
Okay. And when it comes to like your line of profession that you do, because I know like the word psychic has such a stigma on it, and I don't like using the word psychic. I always like to like mystic. I think it kind of applies in a lot of different areas.
I just call myself Sara Lynn.
You're just Sara Lynn, Princess Sara Lynn. What would you say, like, and the practice that you do? What would you say is your top couple of specialties that you would say that you would?
I do a lot of chakra.
Tarot. You can't say tarot.
I do a lot of tarot readings,
Yeah,
that's
I
for
know.
sure. But I do a lot of chakra alignments, and that's probably one of my favorite things to do because a lot of times people, the energy that's around us, the energy that's in our body, just from going and doing everyday things, it's misaligned. And with a chakra alignment, that kind of, gets everything back to the way that it's supposed to be and helps a person able to become more balanced. So a lot of times, if they are going through like a psychological hard time, then it kind of helps to kind of pull their life together a little bit more. So that's probably the thing that I do the most. I also do a lot of energy healing. Now, I do what's called quantum healing. That's the type of healing that I do most frequently. I do other types of energy healing as well, but quantum healing is when you go in on a molecular level. I can't speak, tongue twisting words. And you kind of repair the cells that were actually damaged. So you kind of envision them and you envision the neural pathways that the cells would take to the problem area of the body. And that's probably what I do most frequently when it comes to actual healing.
Okay. And okay, so and then besides just from the healing aspects of it, what other specialties would you say that you do in your line of work?
I do a lot of mediumships. I do a lot of teaching. I'm trying to think of what I do. I do a lot of spiritual counseling too.
Okay. I was kind of like whenever anybody asks like what your specialty would be, I definitely say work altars. Work with
Yes,
yourself.
I definitely do a lot of work with altars as well, which altars are fragments of yourself that have like split off from your dominant personality. In psychology, they use the term like multi-personality disorder. There's a couple other different forms that they use as well, or schizophrenia or things like that. And I help a lot of people to kind of manage their alters without the use of prescription medication or in combination with prescription medication.
Okay. All right. So and all right. So with your psychological background now. I know that you have a degree with early childhood psychology. Now, have you ever thought about
Yeah,
working with children, or do you work with children?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have you thought about working with children, or do you work with children when it comes to with your metaphysical practice? Children.
I don't work with children outside of my home on a regular basis, but I have worked with children before. I prefer to work with adults just because then, the cerebral cortex isn't fully formed until you're in your 20s. So children are still very pliable and malleable, and sometimes they take what we say in different contexts than what it's meant to be in. So it's a little more difficult, I think, to work with children. And then you add parental figures and stuff on top of that. I just prefer to work with adults personally, but I have worked with children in the past and probably would continue to do so.
Now, with your degree in it, though, did you get it just because it was a special interest, or is it because you have a softball team?
I do have a lot of kids. I originally went and got my degree in early childhood education because I wanted to homeschool my children. And the state that I lived in, and the states that I lived in required you to have a degree. Hold on just a minute. Renegade, go in the living room. Sorry. My children are obviously not in bed, even though I sent them there.
All right. Okay, so I figured it was probably because you wanted to do homeschooling. Now, going back to energy. Now, what would you say? What is your most favorite thing when it comes to just with energy alone, like with working with energy? What is it that you like to do that's not on a healing aspect of it, like energy?
I like manipulating energy personally. Energy is let me think of the word I want to describe it on. Energy is a force that can be molded. You can pretty much give it any job you want it to do with the right direction. So I think manipulation of energy is probably my favorite thing. Now you can manipulate energy for healing, but you can manipulate it for other things as well, such as spell work, such as, improving somebody's mood, such as, storing it in an object. That all of that are forms of manipulating energy, which is, changing it from doing one thing to doing another. So that's probably my most favorite thing to do.
Okay. All right. And so to get on topic of discussion tonight, let's see here. I have no idea where my other phone is. Now I know that, and the topic of discussion, I did want to touch base on energy and the effects that it has with like children and animals. And which is great because you have your early childhood psychology and everything degree. So when it comes to like the energy around us and the energy of other people, what would you say like concerns when it comes to like people, like children and animals on a positive and a negative note?
Well, children are very susceptible to energy that is around them. So are animals. So they pick up on people's moods. They pick up on, the manner in which you say something. They can tell from your tone of voice and the way that you're looking at them, whether, you're happy with them or displeased with them. Same thing with animals. That's a type of energy. So they also pick up on the energy that, we don't necessarily give off. Like, let's say you're in an abandoned house and you're just like walking by it, they might pick up that energy. It's kind of creepy, or they might see something. We as adults, we kind of, if we do hear something, see something, sense something, we rationalize it. Our brains just naturally rationalize it because we can't stand to the unknown a lot. A lot of people, not everybody, but that's what society programs us to do. So as we grow older, we kind of push those little things that we used to pick up on down. Children don't have that sense of being scared of these things. They're all new to them. They haven't learned from society that these are bad things. We shouldn't voice them. We shouldn't say them. So children are going to say exactly what's on their mind, what they feel, what they sense, what they pick up on. So children and animals, they just have that like pure innocence that as we grow older, we often lose.
And now with animals, have you done animal energy healing at all? Or do you get into animal healing?
Yeah, with animal healing, I like to use a method which is called tactile healing, which then you place your fingers. There's a T-touch method which works best. You put your fingers like this in this position on key areas on the animal's body to stimulate. It's kind of the same thing that you would do with like acupressure, except it's on an animal, and you use T-touch because T-touch is a lot lighter than acupressure would be. So you put it on key areas of the animal's body to stimulate energy flowing through that certain area. So for example, if a cat was having problems with their back, you might put your fingers on like the side of their neck right here, or on their lower hind leg, depending on where the problem was on their back. And you kind of radiate and pulsate the energy through that with a gentle massage.
Okay. All right, and okay, there we go. Now I got my list. I was looking for my list of topics, and I was sharing out here. Now, energy within the environment. Now, I want to touch base on that because like when you're out in your environment, like in public or basically away from home. Now, what would you recommend for people? Because like people that have anxiety. Because I think like some people with anxiety issues, I think that's what I think is for some people it is like a psychological personal stress thing, but I think for others it is energy within the environment. So what would you recommend for somebody who is very sensitive to energies when they're out in their environment?
Well, somebody that's sensitive to energy in their environment, they should kind of work themselves up before they go out there. So they should know what they're going to expect. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to recognize, that you have an issue with outside energy interfering with your space. And then you kind of want to rationalize it. I need to go to the store, so I need to be around other people. And once you're in the store, it's a little different because you're around all of these people and maybe you feel a little different than you expected to. So this is where energy shielding comes into play. This is where other items that you might keep in your pocket, like a stone, they have what's called worry stones. Most people have seen them. They have like a little thumb imprint in them. And they're really, really great to keep in your pocket. Yes, they're really great to keep in your pocket if you have these type of issues, because whenever you feel that anxiety, you can stick your hand in your pocket very inconspicuously and just release some of that energy that you're feeling from those people around you, and you can release it into the stone. Eventually the stone will probably break, but it'll serve its purpose and you can easily pick up another one for a few dollars. So those are just very simple methods that I that you can do if you're anxious when you go out around a lot of people. And the reason why you're anxious is because there's a lot of different people. Different people have different energies. Some people are nice, some people are more hostile, some people are very busy, some people are moving very slow. There's a lot of different types of people in the same area. And just like children, we pick up on the way that they look, the way that they're talking, the way that they move, and the vibrational imprint that they give off.
All right, so that kind of leads into like the next thing that I wanted to talk about. Well, first I wanted to talk about like glam and false energy. Because there are some people that are able to mask themselves with
You're talking about, okay.
yeah. So
Well,
go ahead.
a false energy gives the illusion that energy can be false. Energy can't be false. It is just energy, but energy can appear to be something that it's not.
Right.
And so I just wanted to point that out for the viewers.
Hey, Lachelle. I'm still waiting for my voice recordings. I'm still waiting. It's been a while. So, she's from South Africa. I think people are from South Africa. Those beautiful. I love it. Love hearing them talk. I've been waiting for some sexy voice clips because I love listening. I just love it. It's amazing. So, probably one of my most favorite accents when it comes to people in other countries. So yeah, I'm still waiting for my recordings. So, all right. So right. So energy can't be false, but and I don't know if anybody's ever heard of like glam spells, glam energy. Where some people will that are consciously aware of this. I don't know about people being subconsciously aware, but like they will emit out like a.
Sometimes people are subconsciously doing it.
They'll emit like out like an energy that that kind of like overscapes like their natural. Because when you meet somebody and I know that you're a Sagittarius. This is a very Sagittarian. I've actually a lot of fire. I've known a lot of fire signs will do this more so than like water and earth and the air signs. Like they'll meet somebody and they'll just say like there's just something about that person's energy I don't like, so you get like a group of people and then there's somebody and say like over half the people, they don't seem to have a problem. They don't think there's anything wrong with the person's energy. The person's real friendly and nice. Now those who say, okay, there's something off about their energy there, or there's just something like how would you explain that to where
how would I explain glam? It's a form of manipulation. So what you're doing is you're kind of projecting what you want the person to see. It's kind of like, when you wear a lot of makeup, you want the person to not see the wrinkles on your face. So you're kind of covering them up. That's kind of what the person does with their energy when they're using glam in that manner. They're only wanting you to see the forefront. So what you see up front is, an overly generous, nice person when really they're a narcissist. So, it's just masking your own energy. So they learned how to manipulate people and their energy field around them. And sometimes it's not magical people that does it. We give off energy and vibrations, and some of that energy and vibrations that we give off is the way we present ourselves, the type of demeanor we have on our face, type of clothes we choose to wear, the way we talk to people, and all of that comes together to create what we in the esoteric community associate with energy. All of that is part of energy as well.
All right. So and there are some people that are able to and Sagittarius is, I'm going to put them off to the side on this because they don't count because they're always usually able to, one of the gifts that Sagittarius have, and that's sun, moon, and rising, really, really happy for like sun and moon people and Sagittarius, is like they will see, like they'll meet somebody and like, it's just like they can either energetically, like a clairvoyancy, or they actually will see, like they can see more into the other person, and then they usually make that judgment from there whether to proceed or to retract. But some people, they just like will just kind of like see, like just feel more into the energy of the other person more than somebody else. And like going back to the whole like glam energy, and and like so some people will actually do spell work to glamorize and to put that out there, but which gives out like a false energy. Now for people like who are not able to necessarily pick up into those extra energetic layers of being around other people, what would you say be a really good technique for somebody when they meet somebody new, or like we're getting ready to have to decide if they're going to work with somebody or deal with somebody, to how to fill through those extra layers. Like, because you know how some people are like, I don't know what to think about that person, or they don't know like how to energetically like make a rational observation of that person's energy. Anything you could recommend for somebody to be able to get through those layers?
We're very into, our tactile senses, seeing, hearing, feeling. So one of the things that I like to do is, observe the person in front of you. Use that in combination with hearing what they're saying, hearing the tones of the voices that they're using, the pitches, but also shake their hand, feel what their hand feels like. Because we're very receptive creatures. So we crave those types of interactions, and those types of interactions help us to understand people and how they're going to act. Like, you go to shake somebody's hand and they kind of pull back and don't want to shake your hand, or they grab your hand and they just kind of like half-heartedly shake it.
Man gives me a weak handshake, because I'm a handshaker, especially kind of professional setting. It gives me like a weak handshake. I'm just like, especially with somebody like in a suit and tie. I'm just like, really? That's your handshake? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're creatures that love that input. So sometimes, we can't feel the energy. Some of us aren't blessed with the gift of sight, where we can see the energy around the person and feel it. So we have to rely on our other senses, and rely less on the less mundane senses.
So like I said, I just noticed that fire signs, and I think maybe it's like that fire energy is like they're just able to just kind of burn through those layers. But I've just noticed that fire signs really do pick up on, like they'll pick up on subtle little energies around about somebody else that like either I didn't pick up or other people didn't pick up, and there's just and normally whenever like especially anybody that I'm close to or that I've known for a while, whenever like say they meet somebody else or something, and they say like and they're honest, like if they don't like another person, or if there's just something off about that person's energy, or if there's just something, I always like keep like mental note of that. I'm like, okay, if they're saying something, there must be something, especially if it's not somebody who generally, because there's just some people that just doesn't like anybody, but especially if it's a fire sign, then I will definitely kind of like turn my senses up on high and pay more attention, because usually 10 times out of 10 they're not wrong.
Blue Flame said they're a hugger. See, I am not a hugger. That's too much personal space for me. I like energy, but that's like overload for me. I'm just like, unless I know you really well, I don't want to give you that much.
Yeah, I'm not a touchy. I like handshaking, but I'm not a touchy feely person. And I don't like being touched.
I mean, I'm touchy feely, but only with people that I'm like very close. You have to be in my intimate circle to get any of that. My children, my nieces, my nephews, my best friends.
Barely, I mean, to the point to like where like my partner be like, "Do you even like me?" Like, yeah, sure, I like you there. I touched you. Now go away. But I'm not a touchy feely. I didn't grow up in a touchy feely home. Like I don't think we never even said I love you to each other. So so it's just from that. But yeah, I'm not touchy feely either. And Blue Flame, I just want to remind you, Pluto is retrograde, so you gotta remember that, and it does rule over that Aries and Scorpio. So Pluto being retrograde, Saturn's retrograde. How sensitive Scorpios are to energy. Talk about fires can see through the energy, and water signs, especially Scorpios, very sensitive to energy. And a lot of times I know, like with Scorpios can't make up their mind about somebody's energy, then they just automatically put them in the nope section. They're like, they don't even want to risk it. They're like, nope.
No, see, I'm the opposite of that. I don't even put the bad people in the nope section. I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to be friends with you, but I'll still socialize with you. It's because, I mean, that's just, I don't know, that's just how I am. But you're not somebody I'm going to invite over for, that brisket dinner.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've noticed, like with last, like Sagittarius and Scorpios too, like Sagittarius, Scorpios, they are very, very, very super selective about who they bring into like those other inner layers of their life. They really do like
very separate,
very like distance. When it comes to people, and they're it's super super selective. And I never realized, it took me a long time to really realize that. But they're very, because you think fire signs, especially Sagittarius, they're overly friendly. They'll talk, they'll interact and all that. But just because they're talking and interact doesn't necessarily mean they like you. or want to deal with you on a personal level, like I said, but I know they are very,
I
very
know so many.
selective.
I know so many people that think we're really good friends, and I'm just like, you're not in that circle for me.
Yeah, and so with the Aquarius is, that's the same thing, really, really friendly, but
I mean, I like people. I'm just very selective in who I bring in my immediate bubble.
Yeah, and that's important because other people's energy, your inner circle, your inner world, and everything.
Yeah.
With other people's energy, when mixing in with your energy, it's just kind of like, because some people can leave like a residue of just like, with their their energies there, especially in your personal space of your home and everything. So yeah, so it took me, like I said, it took me a while to really realize that, that they are not highly super personal people. They're not, want to meet somebody and then want to be besties.
Yes, sometimes I think it's difficult being a Sagittarius because, I crave people. I love contact with people. I love to go places where there's. I love to go places where there's lots of people. I love to do talks like this. I mean, I've done talks like this in front of hundreds of people at pagan festivals. It doesn't bother me. I love to go and dance with people.
Yeah, because you're blind, you can't see the people. That's why. They say,
I love to go out and
you can't see them, so it's just like.
I love to go out and deal with people. Both of my jobs, like this one, working in the esoteric and pagan community, but also the job that I have, I clear out after estate sales and I resell a lot of items, and I also do estate sales. I love it because I'm around so many people. I help a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. I like it, but I don't want to bring any of them home.
Yeah, I'm Blue Flame. I'm right there with you, being Aquarius. Yeah, Saturn. Yeah, Saturn is just freaking little habit for me too. And then Lachelle says I'm the same way. I will be friendly with you, talk to you, but I won't invite you over.
Also me. I mean, I love people. I just want most of them out of my circle. Everybody say hi to my children. They're watching. My children are watching. They just said hi in chat on YouTube.
Well, hello, children. So yeah, thanks for reminding me that there are children, because me, because like.
Oh, my husband has a sailor's mouth, so I mean, I'm sure they probably heard anything you're gonna say.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot better with my potty mouth and not saying certain words, and yeah, I've kind of smoothed out some rough around the edges, because yeah.
Yeah, five of my 7 children are watching tonight.
Oh, well,
one isn't home from work just yet. She's on her way home from work, and another one is, I don't know what he's doing because he doesn't live here anymore, but probably something fun.
Is it like some cartoons or like some video games? I mean,
no,
really,
they wanted to watch me because
they wanted to watch you.
They're really. If you haven't guessed, I'm really close with my kids.
Yeah, and that's another thing I've noticed with Sagittarius is with the hands-on. I call it attached parenting. Yeah, Sagittarius. I've noticed a lot of Sagittarius moms do that, attached parenting.
Yeah.
So, all right. So back to the topic. So like manifesting with energy. That was another thing I wanted to. Right. I got no pie. I know I've got the filter on, and I will behave myself, maybe. No promises. So manifesting with energy. Now, when it comes to because I believe that manifesting very much has an interplay with like energy and everything. So when it comes to like with manifesting, what are your personal opinions when it comes to like with manifesting on the terms of like
manifesting? You're drawing things into you for a purpose. So of course that's energy. You're drawing, from the outside in, whether you're drawing energy from the gods and goddesses you believe in, or the saints you believe in, or whatever other religious figures you might believe in, or whether you're drawing it from nature, or whether you're drawing it from the universe, or whether you're drawing it from objects that are around you. You are calling energy to help you for a purpose. So when we say manifesting, we are drawing that energy in wherever you believe it comes from, and you are giving it a purpose. So you're actually transforming it when you call it into your body. You're saying, come hither and we're going to make this happen. So it's very similar to a spell, except a little less ritual than a spell might be.
Right. Okay. And we already did touch a little bit on energy training and everything. Let's see here. I have back and Okay, so dealing. Okay, now you know some people, and some people are aware of this, and I think a very small percentage of people are aware of this, where other people are not aware of it. Like energy vampires. Now there are some people that are naturally energy vampires, and I also know people that have heavy eighth house placements. A lot of times they can be on the receiving or giving end on being energy vampires or you know, and when I say energy vampires, I actually mean like people that, you know, that just like, you know, have been around away and they just like suck the energy, you know, you're just tired and just like, you know, like with me, like I'll get around certain people and like fire signs, especially in Sagittarius is an area, it's like, it like amps up my energy. That's why I love like doing advices like fire signs, because other fire signs, my sixth house Sagittarius, so it makes sense. Literally amps up my energy. Like, I mean, I already have a lot of energy naturally. I mean, I could be on my deathbed or my sick bed and, you know, and still have to get up and clean. Like, I naturally have a lot of personal energy. But when I get around fire signs, especially really gifted fire signs, that just like opens me up and really amplifies my energy, which then, you know, then like going live and then trying to, you know, push up because it's a lot of energy and I can actually feel it. But so some people are not aware that they are energy vampires, and since they don't know that they are sucking the life out of somebody, you know. So
that's why I think they get a bad name.
Yeah, you know, but then there are some people that are aware that they you know, like that they do pull energy from other people. Now, what would you recommend for people that have a habit? Because some people they just get tapped of energy so easy, you know. And there are some people that are very sensitive where they get around somebody or do anything and they just like deplete their energy out. So what would you recommend for people like that are very sensitive to having their energy just sucked out of them?
And having their energy sucked out of them, proper shielding, really. It all comes down to proper shielding. If you shield yourself off in a manner in which, you know, nothing can get in, and I recommend active and passive shielding, which is, you know, offensive and defensive. So multi-level shielding is what you first need to do. And if you don't have the skills to do that, then what you want to do is you want to put the stuff you don't like, you don't want, right on the surface, because when you do that, then the energy vamps, you know, that you walk by or, you know, whatever, they're going to siphon all that energy that you don't want. You know what? You're pissed off at your husband because, I don't know, he left the toilet seat up. Put that out there. You're upset because your grandmother passed away. Put that at your surface. You're pissed off at your boss because he made you work on a weekend. Make sure that's in the forefront of your mind when you know you're going to be around somebody that is a psychic vamp that's going to siphon that energy off of you, because then what they're taking is the surface energy that is not doing you any good. It's not doing you any good to be angry with these people. It's not doing you any good to be depressed with these people. So if you put that up front, they're not going to get the energy, you know, your energetic energy, your energy that you maybe don't want to give up. Because energy at its essence it's not really, you know, good or bad or light or dark or whatever. We give it that connotation. So to somebody that needs energy for survival, and psychic vamps do, their body it's like food for them. They can't sustain life without getting that energy from somewhere, whether it's plants and animals or people or however they choose to get it. They have to have it just as much as you have to breathe every day.
So what about the people that are that do energetically feed off other people's energy or pull other people's energy? What would you recommend for them so then that there's not sucking the life out of everybody?
I actually work in the VC community, just, you know, with people that have that issue. You know, they know they're a psychic vamp and they don't want to pull energy and, you know, harm those people around them, because you don't just harm random people that you don't know. If you don't know how to control it, you pretty much harm everybody that you're around, even those that you love. So the first thing you need to do if you are a psychic vamp is learn how to control your own energy and learn how to read the energy of others. Everybody has like multitude of layers of, you know, energy and emotions that they have within them. I mean, at the same time, you can be like happy, but you can also, you know, have depression in the back of your mind, or you can have like death in the back of your mind. You know, you lost a loved one. So what I teach psychic vampires that I work with to do is to kind of siphon off the energy that isn't going to be messed. So you look for people, especially if you're in like a big audience of people, like let's say you're walking around a mall, there's a lot of people at the mall. You don't have to siphon energy off of every single person. You don't have to siphon energy off of every single person in the mall to be able to get what you need. You only need to siphon energy off maybe a couple. So you look for those you look for maybe a couple that's fighting. So, okay, you go closer to them so you can be in their energy field, and you kind of take that energy from them, because the fighting isn't doing their relationship good. So if you kind of negate that and take that aggressive energy out of that equation, you're helping that couple out, but you're also getting what you need. If you see, I don't know, maybe a teenager who's sitting by himself and is kind of depressed, maybe go take some of that depression that he's feeling, rather than, you know, just walking by the girls that are laughing and giggling in the Disney store. You know, so it's all about knowing what's around you and knowing what energy isn't going to affect those that you're taking it from.
I just had like this whole mental energy of like just some like, you know, some energetic vampire person that knows it and they're just in a bad mood that day, so they walk past little giggly girls and then just and they keep on walking, and then there goes all the little happy giggly, you know. I just had like the whole mental picture of that. But okay, so now so with energy vampire, and you know, and that is such a like a, it kind of does give it like a bad name, you know. And then you've got like energy or people are like energetic parasites, where they're just like and you know the type, like
they're very needy. They're usually people that have very, very needy personalities. And again, it's not really something that they can control. In a lot of times, it's a personality kind of trait or conflict. Even with like guidance, they're going to have little control over it because their personality is just so overwhelming. Usually they have some type of like attachment disorder, and in my experience, at least working with them, usually they've had some type of attachment disorder that, you know, happened as they were a child, and as they grew up it was probably overlooked. It probably doesn't cause a huge amount of problems, other than for, you know, those people that are close to them on a regular basis. It's very taxing on them.
Oh, my phone was dying. I was like, oh no, I'd get on the cord on a charger. Okay, and you know, and that makes a lot of sense too, with people that are like just very very neurotic, needy, actually extremely like needy people. You know, and that's where it actually makes. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to respond to one of the comments in the by Blue Flame. Said, wouldn't they rather get positive energy though? Not really. It doesn't matter what type of energy you get. It's if you require energy to keep your spiritual balance, for lack of a better term, then it doesn't really matter what type of energy you use to fill that void, because your body is requiring energy. Energy can be transmuted and transformed into pretty much anything you want it in. At its essence, the only reason that energy is, you know, positive or negative is because it is affecting somebody's life in a positive or negative way. So once the energy leaves the person that, you know, gave it that connotation, it doesn't. It's just energy at itself. It's not good or bad. It can be used for anything at that point. So if, let's say I'm a psychic vampire and Melanie is feeling depressed, so I go over and I take the energy that's causing her depression. Well, it's not causing me depression. It just is energy. That's my food. That's what I eat. So, but I'm taking the conscious part that is doing her harm. So I'm not taking the energy, you know, that is being put towards other things, such as, you know, maybe doing her hair or her makeup or whatever else she's doing in her life. Energy is complex, but at its roots, it's very, very basic.
Yeah, very neutral. Yes, I agree. Okay, so all right. Let me double check. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. Topics. And I know I'm missing it. I know. Oh, maybe. I feel like I'm missing a topic. Let's see. We did touch on children, animals, energy vampires.
I think you wanted to talk about dark energy.
Oh.
Is that what you want to talk about?
It could be it, like the dark energy. Okay. Okay. I think you're right. Like recognizing when you are in the presence around of dark. Because some people do put off, emit out like a dark energy.
Well, I think it's important to kind of define what dark energy is. Science dark energy is, defined
Totally
as,
different.
is defined as anti-gravity. So it is all of those spaces out in space that are dark and have nothing. It's literally what keeps space ever expanding. So in the esoteric and spiritual world, dark energy is that chaos that can't be explained when it comes to energy. Those random little things that you just can't put a name on. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just there. And sometimes it's whirling around, like a windstorm, and you just can't quite grab it. That's kind of what dark energy is. And when somebody has that dark energy, a lot of times you can pick up on it. And it probably doesn't feel real great because you don't understand and know what it is. It doesn't feel bad, but it doesn't feel good. It just feels like you're in like a whirlwind.
Oh, okay. I was looking for the other half of my notes there. So so you think a lot of it's just like a misunderstanding then?
I think a lot of it is a misunderstanding because chaos is, the good mixed with the bad, all in one. And to be able to work with that type of energy, you have to be able to separate them. I work with chaos energy, which is how I know a little bit about it. I've read a lot of things on it as well, but it's very difficult to explain until you experience it.
I have no idea what the other half of that, because I know that I'm missing like little piece of the notes. Okay. No, I was gonna read through the comments. I see Uranus, and like the first thing I just think of, like I think of Tam, like no, Uranus. That's like my favorite word. I love Uranus. So yeah, it's just kind of like I said, I want to read through the comments here. Now, I did want to touch base and just remind everybody that we are doing energy courses. There's 3 tier levels, and basically a beginners, intermediate, and advanced. 2 classes each. They are an hour long, and in the third one, in the advanced one, in one of the sessions, or one of the courses, Sarah Lynn will be teaching how to do energy healing, a very unique form of energy healing. So I'm just going through the comments. I'm like trying to fly in my mouth. Oh my god. And okay, just reading here. Oh, she said that was a Sag I tried dating. I told you, I warned you, I warned you. Did I not? Did I not? She's like, I couldn't put my finger on it, but he just had an issue. Oh, he had an issue with it more, And some people, yeah, and so. Like to put the finger on it. See, I have that. That's something like I kind of like have a thing like with somebody's energy or somebody about somebody. Like when I can't quite put my finger on it, And I'm one of those, like if I can't put my finger on it, like I'm kind of like I have to figure it out. Like I just have to know what it is, And like a lot of times I'll even go to like to Sara or like certain people and be like, okay, I need them to take my hand and help me put my finger on it, because it's like that Aquarian curiosity. I'm literally curious, like Curious George. Like I have to, or Dennis the Menace has to push the button. Like I have to know what is it about like somebody or this thing that I just can't quite figure out. I can't quite, like I have to be able to put my finger on it. But
yeah, I'm like that with a lot of things as well. And I like anything shiny. My husband calls me a ferret because he's like, all I have to do is pull something shiny over here and you're going to go, what?
So yeah, when it comes to people and when it comes like, like especially when it comes to people, like usually it's just, and it's like one of those things, like, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad. And like, you think I learned by now, because 99% of the time it's usually something not good whenever I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just still have to I just have to know, but some people, like a lot of people, like actually have I've noticed like a lot of women have like a lot of issues when it comes to like with porn, and I think it's just because of the energy. Again, the energy that
it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either, but I can see where it could become a problem, because like what do people don't realize with porn, and here we go again, there's children watching Melanie. People that have an addiction to porn, for as long as they have been addicted and watching porn, that's how long it takes for them not watching porn to be able to reset the circuits of like that within their mind.
I think that you got to be open in your relationship if you want it to work. And no matter what you choose to do, that way going into it, you know, you can decide whether or not this is something you can.
But some people see it as cheating. Like I actually know a couple females, like if their significant other is watching porn, they consider that cheating. Which, I mean, I don't see it as that, but I
don't see it as that either. But I don't judge other people for their opinions and views.
So, but there are a lot of people that do have an addiction to it, and this is not the episode for it, but I want to speak on it. But it's true. It's very easy to get. It's very easy for men and women both to become addicted to it. And what happens is when there is an addiction to it, especially and then it's like one of those like where like again, for as long as they've been watching it and addicted to it to be able to do their thing, children watching, that's how long it takes with them not watching it to be able to reset their mind. And I know this on a personal level as well as a psychological level. So yeah, so a lot of people that have that addiction to it don't realize that they have to stop watching it to be able to reset their mind and to reset the chemistry and all that of their whole.
Addiction of any kind is hard, because when you develop an addiction, when you're in an active state of addiction, when you're using whatever vice you are addicted to, your brain releases dopamine. And dopamine is the chemical that your brain releases to stimulate, you know, good positive feelings. And so when you stop doing that, your brain kind of loses the inability to kind of produce dopamine and make you happy. So you have to find another outlet that is going to make it worthwhile for you to continue living your life. That's why addiction is hard. It doesn't matter if it's porn addiction. It doesn't matter if it's an addiction to heroin or whatever.
But you usually move on to the next addiction. Like people usually don't get over addiction; they just pick up another addiction.
Yeah. Now some things like heroin are harder to kick the bucket with, because heroin actually messes with your dopamine receptor. So after you've taken heroin, your body becomes incapable of making dopamine on its own for a very long time after you're off that drug. So
other hard drugs do the same thing.
Yeah. So, well, heroin is the worst. Like, psychologically, it is the worst for the brain. Meth is pretty.
You can die from withdrawal. That's the one drug that will kill you going through withdrawals, where the other drugs will not kill you going through withdrawals. Well, alcohol can, but it's one that's more dangerous.
Methamphetamines are pretty bad as well, but not as bad as heroin, because heroin actually messes with the dopamine receptors in the brain. It's the only drug that actually triggers your body to stop making dopamine when it stops getting the heroin. So you have to actually really, really want to be clean from heroin, because you can feel happiness again, but you will never feel the type of happiness that you did while you were on heroin. Now, I haven't done heroin, but I've read a lot on it. When I was in school, I wrote several dissertations on it.
I actually know quite a few people that are recovering heroin addicts as well.
Yeah, I know people as well.
So and that's what. And my sister died from heroin. So I'm very, very familiar with it, the background, and I do know it's like one of the most dangerous drugs to come through recovery, and it has one of the most highest relapses than like any like opiates, stuff like that does than any other drug. But again, it's one drug that can kill you when you're trying to come out of recovery with it, because you can die in recovery. It's very dangerous. I like what Lachelle said. She's like smoking. If I don't see it, I won't smoke. But when I see a pack of smokes, I see it, and I'm a smoker. But I smoke for everybody around me safety. You know, it's like the one addiction that I am not giving up next to coffee. It's like that keeps everybody else safe. You know, but I'm not a heavy smoker though. Like I'm like a pack every 3 days. I like it because of stimulant in it, you know, and then it also helps like a little bit like suppressing appetite. And again, it keeps me from murdering people within a 100-mile radius. So Blue Frame. She said I had to write papers on it. I read a book called Methland and Dreamland. Yeah. And it's you know, and like within this, you know, like metaphysical community, esoteric community, it's really good to get very familiar with you know, like addictions and different forms of addiction, you know, because like I've worked with people with porn addiction, I work with people with sex addiction, drug addiction, and it gives you like a better understanding, and also kind of like takes away a lot of that social programming of that judgment, you know. But yeah, and even if you don't, you know, even if you don't really want to get into the whole drug alcohol counseling thing, it's really good to be knowledgeable, especially if you are a reader or a mystic or, work with people, because some of your clients, a lot of them will not come out straight out and be like, hey, because if you really pay attention, like a large percentage of your clients will have drug addiction or alcohol addiction, sex addiction.
I work with a lot of clients that have addiction.
Yeah, so
I also work with a lot of clients who have problems with choices that they've made in their past, like abortion and stuff like that. So it's really important, if you ever want to be like, in this field, to develop like a stance of being non-judgmental. It's easy to say you don't judge others, but it's really hard to put that in practice when you're actively talking about them. And
I've stopped working with other mystics and other people just for the simple fact that they would form a judgment against somebody because they had an addiction or something like that, because when people come into that judgment, work with people like that, it does, again, messes up the energy. The person's not getting the actual requirement help, because then everything that is given up for advice is pretty much programmed with behind like judgment. It's just, and so I think it's really, really important.
I try to be very, very judgment free. I try to be very non-judgmental.
No, I mean, of course, people are going to have those little things here and there that they probably cannot set their judgment down on, but
I mean, you're always going to have personal biases, no matter how well you condition yourself to, not judge people. You're always going to have some form of personal bias. So it's a really good idea to know what your personal bias is, because when you know what your personal bias is, you can excuse yourself from cases that require that, and, give a referral to somebody else that is better suited to, care for that.
And I have done that quite a few times, where there's people where like somebody, wants to come to me, or a potential client, and I know personally that I cannot work with that person. And it happens, and I will pass them along to who I feel can work best with them, or that can, give them, the requirements or what they're looking for if I can't do it. But yeah, and I will, like, if I can't work with somebody, I won't even pretend to. I don't care how much money they offer, whatever. I will pass them on to somebody I think I can handle and take care of them a lot better than I can. Especially if there's even like a major like conflict of like differences that I don't think that could be, where there's no middle ground, I will pass them on to somebody that I think is better suited.
Yeah, I think I try not. I don't think there's too many things you have a bias on.
Let's see here. She says, I love it. However, I'm not liberal. Trust that I'm the one who's been beaten down by corporate America. Oh, I know. Me too. My girlfriend has all kinds of chemical addictions. Found that out.
I am not liberal either, so I guess you there.
I actually know quite a few people, especially in the area where I grew up at the Black Hills. Like a lot of, and it seems to be mostly men, where they started drinking with their fathers when they were just like when they're little. Like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and then they have an alcohol addiction, or there are some who their parents, gave them like hard drugs or allowed them to have hard drugs as a child, and then it kind of falls them into into adulthood and everything, because like a lot of things, when it comes to people and what's going on with like issues and trauma stems all the way back to childhood. That's why
Yeah, that's where a lot of our shadow work comes into play. I'm a real big proponent of shadow work. Shadow work is a psychology term, but it's also a term that is used to kind of depict anything that you don't bring to the surface, the things that you hide from others around you, the things that happen to you as a child, as a young adult, as even now, the things that you maybe aren't proud of and maybe are a little embarrassed of, and maybe you even try to hide them from yourself. So they're the things that you're always trying to, push down. And you always have to go back and reevaluate them. You always have to go back and kind of work through them, or you're never gonna get through it. You have to accept them for what they are and move on from that point, whether it was something you could have done to, maybe had a better outcome of the situation, or sometimes it's just acknowledging, the situation happened. There's nothing that I can do. I can forgive those people that, caused the damage or, helped this to happen, but I don't have to be friends with them and I don't have to like them, but I can allow myself not to hold a grudge, because by holding that grudge, I'm hanging on to that situation.
Now, Blue Flame, you are not the only one. I've actually come across quite a few people who, she said, I lost my job in behavioral health because I didn't push meds, but But therapeutics apparently that's a no. That's one of the reasons. Like I had moved to Vermilion, Yankton area because I got accepted to do my master's degree at the USD, and I was going to work because there's a mental hospitals there for the state mental hospitals there as well as like a couple of federal prison and some other prison camps and everything. And that was like my biggest issue with working, in behavioral health and working like doing counseling and everything is the drug pushing and as well as where there were like actually nobody was actually getting any actual true therapy, and the training that they give out now in school is totally different than what they used to teach when people go in, because I'm a psychologist, I double majored in psychology and sociology. The teaching is not the same. It's very robotic. Now there's a lot of stuff they're not teaching people in psychology, and they're not doing their jobs, and that's why I end up switching from basically doing what I do here, like online and everything, because I did not agree with that, and I do not agree with the drug pushing. And there's been a lot of other people. There's a girl that we've worked with, same thing. She had, quit her job.
That's why I won't work in that field.
So,
I will work in the field that I have a degree in. I have a master's degree in clinical and industrial psychology, and I won't work in the field because I won't push drugs. I mean, I could use my industrial psychology degree and, get a job at a business, counseling people in the workspace and working with interdepartment problems and stuff like that. But that's not something I'm incredibly passionate about. So it's not really something I have personal interest in doing.
Yeah, because I think there are some people that do not need to be on medication, and there are some people that they generally actually do, but a lot of them have been misdiagnosed and they're on the wrong medication anyways, and plus with the state mental hospital being under federal investigation for mistreatment, I'm just like, no, I think maybe I'll go do something else. But yeah, it's
a lot of it is about big pharma.
That's why people are turning to esoteric and metaphysical type support and help and everything. People are leaving their counselors and their therapists they've been to for eons, and they get a mystic or a psychic or a tarot reader, and that becomes like basically like the new spiritual psychologist, because we want to help people, to heal people, to move them on, where they just want to keep them stuck in that repetitive cycle because it's money.
I have several clients. That have, left their conventional care because it wasn't working. They were sick of, taking drugs and feeling bad all the time. So they'd much rather talk to me. They're like, you don't make me feel bad. I feel better when we're off the phone. Chakra alignments actually do work and make me feel better. And the methods that you're telling me are helping more than the medication ever did.
Yeah. And the whole energy of that whole when it comes to behavioral health and the psychology, psychologist, all of that's icky energy to me. Like the whole just escaping of it is just, it's not good energy, and it's something that basically it produced on to itself, but it's not good. It's not.
Yeah, I'm definitely not for corporate America. Like I said, I don't work in my field. I work in this field, but I also have another job that I do where I make my primary income, and that's not a corporate job either. That's a business that my husband and I built up from ground zero. So we run it exactly the way we want to, how we want to, and we determine what jobs we take and what jobs we don't take.
Yeah, another issue with corporate America is like they were trying to McDonaldize everything. Like, they want you to read from a script, and that's where I just drew the lines. Like, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't be reading from a script. What to tell somebody, I want to be able to, to be myself, to be personally myself, and not somebody who's pretending to be something or to be robotic, and to make sure that I read these key words, and I couldn't do it. It was very false and phony to me, and I just cannot work in a profession to where I have to be like some plastic fake thing just so the company can make money. I refuse to. So, all right. So I think we've pretty much covered everything.
I think we did everything that you wanted to get out was.
We offering readings, and I forgot, I didn't grab the way out. I guess I don't have to worry about it now. She's like, yes, I have weaned myself off of my anti-anxiety, but that's amazing. Yes, that's a whole other topic of discussion I wanted to talk about with anxiety medicine, medication. These psychiatrists would get the patient stabilized and then change the meds. Yep, I've noticed that too. Oh yeah, I've got a big bone of beefing a bone to pick with with our psychology section. So the psychology, the therapist, all of that. huge bone to pick. Like, like just, and I have nothing nice to say.
A lot of times when they get the patient stable on their medication, the reason they ship them up is because over time, especially if it's a lithium-based drug, your body gets used to that dosage. So they have to up the dosage. What we fail to do in the medical in the psychological health department in this country anyway, I'm not sure about how it's run in other countries, but in this country, we fail to realize that the vast majority of people that have some type of depression or anxiety, it's a temporary condition. What the drugs and medication are there, yes, they're good to get them over that bridge, but you're not supposed to leave them on it long term. You're supposed to teach them coping mechanisms to, integrate back in society without the drug intervention. The problem is now we're very lazy. And statistically, if you look back and you study mental health illness, people will tell you there's more mental health now than there ever was before. I mean, that's statistically proven. You can show that via quantified statistics. Now, a lot of people say, well, in the 17, 18, and early 1900s, they didn't treat mental illness. That's not true. They did treat mental illness, but what they called it, and your anxiety, not your like schizophrenia and your deeper mental illnesses, they treated them grossly wrong. They were locked up in unsavory
women in the early 1900s
and unsavory conditions, but the more mild conditions, such as anxiety or depression, they say, well, they just didn't treat them back then. That's not true. They called them melancholy, and they treated them with opium. And opium was given on a short-term basis. It wasn't given on a long-term basis. So a woman, after childbirth, a lot of times would develop postpartum depression. So she'd be given opium. When her children went away to school or left the home, it would be the same thing. And it was a temporary situation.
That's what happened to not Tombstone. Oh God, who was it? Was it a Tombstone? I can't think of his name. But that's what happened to his girlfriend. She became addicted to opium, and she used to take it for everything. Feels her way, she'd take it. This way, she'd take, and she eventually she
well,
OD'd.
that was the problem with prescribing opium. It was given for short-term use, but opium is very addictive. So it became an opium crisis. So they stopped prescribing opium, but that doesn't mean people stopped getting melancholy.
Right. But that's something about melancholy, because Mike just did an episode thing earlier today about melancholy, and I comment, I enjoy my melancholy. You can ask anybody, like, whenever I get into my melancholy, like, leave me alone. Let me wallow in it. It's mine. It's like, I don't mind being where most people don't want to be there. I'm okay with my lows, because that's just, I think it's the greatest time to do shadow work.
A lot of people struggle with them, and they need a boost to get over them.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, Bill, you did a great job. I'm like, no, get away from me, leave me alone, my melancholy, because I love it. It's my own little personal spice and bubble. Like, move away, get away. How come people with psychic abilities are labeled with having schizophrenia? Because that's, again, big corporate, and they
I don't think it has to do with
on medication right now, make money off of it, they would.
I don't think it has as much to do with big corporate as it does with modern society and what the modern society believes.
People in modern society, though, like, actually are scared to come forward. And I've had so many people over the years talk about like they're scared to come forward because they don't want to be labeled as schizophrenic or whatever, and that they feel deep down that it's not schizophrenia. So but there's so many people in our society that is scared to even say anything, and they know that it's not mental illness.
Well, the predominant religions in our society today do not allow for these things to exist. So when you have a contrary belief to the popular one, or at least the popular one that is shown in the media, on television, shoved down our throat in just about every aspect of life, when you have somebody that comes forward with an alternate view, they look very crazy. So to the vast majority of people, if you believe these things, you must be nuts. It's absurd to think magic is real, because they're not. It doesn't fit into their agenda and what the world is.
Well, right. So people are basically taking that agenda and shoving up other people's fucking. But a lot of people in the world are actually starting to wake up and realize that the society norm is not the norm and that it's a lie.
Yeah, it's like how many times have you had people tell you, I went and I had to take a test my doctor gave me, and the doctor, like, asked you, do you hear voices? Well, I hear voices. If I put yes on the form, they're gonna, tell me I have a psychiatric disorder. I don't have a psychiatric disorder because I know the voices aren't mine. The voices that I hear are, spirits that I talk to. I know because I do mediumship work and other people recognize these spirits when I call upon them by name. So how would I know who I was talking to if I never met that person before? How would I know key details that happened in that person's life if it was in my head and I was psychotic?
Yeah, that was just like with the TikTok live last night when I did a mediumship reading, and the girl said, she's like, that right there proves that she's real. I was like, or she's like, how would she know those details? She's like, those are private details that nobody else in the world would know about for her to be able to, get access to. And that's the thing. A lot of times, whenever when people that see spirits, a lot of times they can get around somebody else and other people that can basically confirm, they can see the same spirit, and be able to, actually they're saying the same thing, but then of course society would be like, oh, it's like what is it, mass
hysteria.
Mass hysteria, stuff like that. But no, I mean we're slowly breaking through the wall, Kool-Aid style, like the Kool-Aid man, but we'll eventually get
slow
there.
Motion.
Yeah. Well, we will eventually get there. We just gotta keep moving forward because eventually there has to be change. There's no other way for society.
If you look at where we are now compared to where we were 150 years ago, we're a lot better today than we were 150 years ago. 150 years ago, if I did my job that I do here, I would be labeled as a witch and probably burned at the stake or drowned in water because, that's what they used to do. And I don't know, it depends on what side of the family I was born on then, but I either would have been in Scotland or somewhere in a Native American tribe, which they wouldn't have probably done that there because they just didn't do that to their people. But knowing my luck, I would probably be in Scotland.
Yeah. So yes, things are a lot better, and they're just slowly progressing. It's like a lot of patience, but yeah, we definitely would have been burned or drowned or excommunicated in the more nicer village of things, but so yes, all right. So
I do the same thing. I see them, I hear them, I feel them, I smell them. Sometimes it's weird. All of my senses get involved when I do mediumship readings. Not every time, but a lot of times they do.
Yes, I love that. Yep, just rising out of the ashes. Yep. That's very much your Pluto, definitely, because Pluto is basically the phoenix. It causes people to go into that phoenix mode of having to rise out of the ashes. Because either transform or die. Either you transform out of the ashes or you die. And that's pretty much what their society. It's like they need to transform into a different form of social norms and a different way of looking at things and viewing things, and just the whole society structure of everything literally needs to crash into ashes and to be reborn again. It has to. So, but I've been pretty much my whole life. I've been, the little chatters of not being normal or crazy after so long, you just get used to it, just ignore. I just started ignoring it. It didn't bother me anymore.
I think it's hard to, die and be reborn as a society because when we do that, there's a lot of casualties, and people say they're okay with casualties, but when it affects them and theirs, and they're not really okay with it.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I love it when we get interaction, in the comments, and so. Yeah. And have you ever noticed whenever we do any type of live, we always get I know I do tons of fire signs. My air attracts the fire because I need the fire.
I attract fire signs too. I know I love fire signs. So normally attract fire signs, but I do.
So, all right, everybody. So, if nobody is wanting a reading, okay, I was like, I do have my cards here. My card also here, but there they are again, the peace gun and baby wearing.
Hi, children of mine. That's because it's linked to my Facebook group. I actually have a Facebook group that I started years ago. It's got probably 10,000 people in it. But it's I like peace, and I love baby wearing. The picture in it is actually me wearing one of my children. and they're using my old account. And guns, because like the group that I created was how to carry a sidearm with children while baby wearing, and how to protect yourself. You know, it's a self-defense class, or it's a self-defense group, but it's a self-defense group designed for mothers and fathers that specifically have young children and happen to wear their children via, like, you know, a woven wrap or a soft structured carrier or anything like that.
Oh,
So
put the gun on safety with a little safety thing and put it in the diaper bag and go.
no, I don't like guns in diaper bags, and the reason why, because children get, you know, they always,
diaper bag. I would put it in the diaper bag. I would have it on. I would have it on myself.
yeah, that's what I advocate in my group. There are people that, you know, carry them in, like, you know, a purse that's designed for it and stuff like that. But I'm always an advocate of carrying them on your person so that you have access to them.
Travel to your back to be able to pull it.
Yeah, and I like a level 3 holster, because level 3 holsters, you can't take the gun out of it unless you are wearing the holster. So like if I had the holster like sitting on the counter, you couldn't take the gun out of it. If my child came up and tried to take the gun out of the holster, or like a robber or whatever, they can't take it out. They can't take it out unless you're wearing it, because it's designed to only come out at one angle.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually I have a knife. It's designed like that where it snaps in, and so yeah, I'm very weapons friendly and guns. So who is a Skywalk trees? I am.
I don't know who that is. Oh my goodness, that happened to my bank card not too long ago. I don't know who Skywalk is. It was a great talk. Thanks for laying on the floor of the family friendly. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. We love the fact that you guys.
Yes,
they're watching too.
What's the other one? Oh, pepper spray. Yes, pepper spray. Actually, I'm actually thinking about getting some from Lexana. Yes, I'm a firm believer in home defense with guns. And if you don't have guns, there's always, you know, high-powered BB guns, or, you know, camp hairspray and a torch. I do. I see.
And we have a lot of stores.
Protection next to me because I'm out here by myself. So, oh yeah, and brass knuckles are good too. She's like, I don't can't tell me your areas at all. Not even just a little bit. Just,
you turn this into self-defense class, but next time we'll do magical self-defense with a little bit of tactile self-defense. You know, real life stuff. Or tactical self-defense. How's that? We'll protect you magically in the 3D.
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple of things that, you know, that came up tonight that actually would be great for some topics discussion. But we do appreciate everybody joining us and watching. And you know, and one thing that I keep forgetting to do is putting the information in the comments. Actually, I'll do that afterwards. You know, so how to get a hold of us and everything. And the courses, you know, check see what the courses with the energy courses on ClearSight Consulting. Again, my name's Melanie. I go by Korean Essence or Electrical Essence, and then this is Sara, Lynn, and you guys have a good night. And, yeah, and if you want to book a session, I'm going to put all the details and everything in after we're done going live. So, all right, and you guys have a good night.
Bye, guys.